Hey y'all. So, finally finished all the Daniel Craig Bond movies. You'll notice that I don't have a specific single version of Quantum. Um, I didn't feel like getting another one, but I wanted at least just to see the covers. But either which way, I'm ranking the Daniel Craig Bond movies. Um, like always, my rankings may ruffle feathers. Apparently, they never have because none of you are commenting your own rankings, so I will never know. But you should really do that. You should really comment your own ranking and maybe, subscribe, like the video, hit the notification bell, share it amongst your friends and lovers and enemies and random people. You know, it's that kind of fun stuff. Either way, this one will probably ruffle feathers, but I have reasonings. So, uh, at number 5 is not too much of a surprise, but Spectre. Um, Pretty much everything I said in my initial review, it's just like it just didn't work, and the idea of having Blofeld as Bond's brother just is stupid. The whole idea of him being behind everything, it could have worked, but the way they implemented it, like that clearly wasn't the plan originally, so it just doesn't work. It feels kind of lazy. And like, ooh, grander idea. Like they're just trying to outdo Mission Impossible. But that said, I still do have to admit the last 20, 30 minutes where like Bond's chasing down Blofeld, and meanwhile, Q and M are trying to stop Moriarty, I forget his character's name, from like completing the mission, like his uh, uh, surveillance system, like trying to shut that down. Like, all that's really good. Like the last action scenes are really cool. It's everything else leading up to this just either aggravating or kind of boring. Like the action scenes are good. Like yeah, including Bond and Madeline escaping Blofeld's base. Very good. I love the action in that. Um, the light aspect of it being a on Her Majesty's remake, I feel like would have worked better if they, had the whole virus thing be in this one, but they kind of did that with the surveillance. It's weird, but it's not one I'm like, unless I really wanted to do a weird, like, extra long, like, double feature, like, edit of uh, these two, then maybe I'll rewatch it. But as it stands, I don't think I would, naturally. And so number 5 is Spectre for the most reasons most people put Spectre on their bottom. Well, maybe bottom 2. Uh, Now for the one that's going to make definitely ruffle feathers is at number 4, Skyfall. So Skyfall is well made. The villain, well done. Like the final bit with M and stuff, all good. The issue is its placement and its story, really. Um, it really does come down to either a bunch of plot convenience, like like oh, this character just did that, so it should happen. Not that. No, no, no. It's Silva's plan literally makes no sense. Like it's Madara levels or even Katsuya, like Zetsu, like Naruto levels of like, okay, that's a huge amount of trust and luck. Like he had to know that Bond wouldn't kill him and would just bring him to that location. He would have to know that that location's still the same location they used back when he was a spy. He had to know that it didn't change any systems. He had to know that Q would plug in his laptop at that moment so he can escape. He would have to know that the train would be there on time to crash there. He would know that Bond would have to be there on time to get distracted by the train. Like all that stuff he would have to know. And that's an impossible like level of knowledge and luck and coincidence. And it's a bit much. Um, And like his whole plan like is just ridiculous too. It's like he wants to shut it all down because M didn't save him, which fair, but also that's kind of part of the risk and mission too. Like the idea itself is fine in that it, like I said, like when I initial review, is that it does kind of flip and work on it flips Die Another Day's point where Bond says, "Oh, I tossed the silent capsule years ago," but he's still upset that M betrayed him. Like it takes that, but it kind of flips it like, okay, what if Bond did go rogue and did go evil? But then it also kind of falls in the same trap that Alex had in GoldenEye, where it's like your plan, your reasoning is flawed, and your character is thus flawed. Um, and like I said, like it's the placement really. It's the fact that it's like, oh, he's all old and worn out and broken and stuff, and he can't do the job anymore. It's like, but the last movie was like he was still young and fresh in this. So like we missed a whole bunch and acting like we've seen that he's old and worn out kind of thing. Like it's just a leap. And I mentioned like, if they wanted the second movie to be Moonraker and then do something like this where it makes sense for him to be beat up, sure, but they didn't. So it really is just a placement and writing's perspective that just doesn't make sense. Like a soft reboot, but have him be worn out and old, and they're like, all right, we're gonna continue now, and everything's like we're gonna like, why? Why do that? Why reboot halfway through, but also keep continuity with the others, but also like insinuate that he had way more adventures and now he's old and worn out and stuff. It just doesn't make sense. There's a lot of stuff that just doesn't make sense. But like it's well done. And like Silva's of course well acted, but it doesn't like also like I brought this up is the emotional payoff of M dying like only hits as hard as it does because she was also M for Brosnan. The issue with that is that this version of the character is not the same version of that version. She is not the same M as Brosnan's M. So really, we like we may know her as like M, but it's not the same M. And the characters and universe have not had the same amount of adventures and time with her as the audience have. So it doesn't hit as well. Like, I really feel like they should have recasted M because it just felt, I was like, we're going to do a whole new reboot, different everything, except for keeping M. But she's not going to be the same M. She's going to be written differently. Okay, why? Like, I feel like I get the sentiment, but it just, like, this proves that it just didn't, it this doesn't work. But either way, four is Skyfall. Um, three, Casino. Um, continuing ruffling feathers. But I feel like this one does suffer the same kind of thing with the book, where the middle chunk is boring, very boring. The pace is just terrible. Unless you really love poker or baccarat from the books, like unless you really, really love that, or this is like your first or second time watching, it's dull. Especially with the movie. The movie has the issue where all the action is in the very beginning, like the first hour or so. It's all action. That's very entertaining. That keeps you interested. And yeah, if it's your first or second time watching, the poker games are interesting. But it just, after seeing so many Bond movies, this one is like, okay, this is dragging out now. And they do spurse in some action in between, but like it it goes from like, okay, yeah, he fought the like Nigerian guys or whatever, and then it goes right back to like it's a huge like tonal shift, and all the Bond movies have had this, where they get like bogged down with pacing issues, whether it's a big action scene and then there's an underwater scene or a long skiing scene or something where it's just like, okay, we get it, move on. Um, and I would have been much more happier if like they cut down the some of the action scenes and some of the poker scenes in lieu and like switch it with like building up his character, like how in the books where like you see what he likes to eat for breakfast, how he likes to dress, how he does all his things. That would have been fine. That would have been interesting. Be like, okay, we're getting a deeper look into Bond, kind of like how the beginning of Doctor No was, where you did see like the like okay, you got a good grasp of the character before he actually really does anything. Um, I do feel like, unfortunately, the fact that the Bond movies have tended to be answers or try to do their own versions of what's popular at the time does hurt them a lot. And you see that with the earlier movies, but with this one, especially Quantum and stuff, like they do try and like do the Jason Bourne thing. And this is that with the action and stuff. Is like it works with Bourne because Bourne's whole thing is that he doesn't know who he is. So the action is him trying to find out who he is. Bond should know who he is, but we don't know who he is. That's the issue. And like us seeing him do the action and like him, like okay, we get an idea of who he is through the action and how he carries himself. Fine, that works. But I feel like a deeper thing of him, like no, like if you get what I'm saying with that, it's different ways of doing it, but I feel like that's just something that's missing. Um, the Vesper stuff is good. The Vesper stuff's fine. The ish, like it does play pretty much the same way as the books, honestly. I do feel like that's still the best part is the interactions between Bond and Vesper. Those all work. I feel like it does drag again near the end with them like hanging out with Mathis and in Venice and stuff. It does drag a little bit there. Um, Once again, that's just a pacing issue. Um, but yeah, I feel like like I said, it just has the same issue with me, like as a book. It's well written, well done, well acted, however you want to do it. But all the focus being on poker or baccarat or however it is, whichever version, it's just dull. It becomes dull, especially when you front load it with all action. It's just like the whole middle chunk is poker and then relationship stuff. It could work, like I said, for your first couple watches, fine. Maybe the fact that this is like probably the 10th or more times I have seen it this time, and I had seen all the others before this most recent rewatch, it doesn't hit as well for me. Um, but in terms of pure distill like distillated Bond, distilled Bond, yeah, this is almost a perfect Bond movie. Like this and Skyfall are almost perfect Bond movies. But wider context, it's not. But it's number three. Um, Sorry for lovers of this. Uh, Number two, Quantum of Solace. Uh, Here's the thing. Quantum of Solace does have a lot of faults. The action is pretty bad. It is hard to follow. Except for really the tail end of the chase scene where it ends in the clock tower. Like that part's cool. Or clock tower, church, wherever it was, bell tower. That part was fun. But that's not why I like it. Why I like it is one kind of classic villain, like just businessman villain kind of thing. I like the actor, but more so it's the theme. The theme of Bond wanting so much revenge, like, and he's blinded by it. He's just angry the whole time, focused completely on revenge. Um, and like that works. That definitely works. That's in the books. That's more so in, not so much in Live and Let Die, being the sequel to Casino, but more so in the beginning of You Only Live Twice, after the events of On Her Majesty's with the death of Tracy. So there is precedent for that. And even in the original movies, you have the same vibe within what was it? Um, Not The Spy Who Loved Me. It was, yeah, yeah, Spy Who Loved Me. No, not Spy Who Loved Me. Which one was it? The one with Kirk Christos. Oh God. Oh Lord. Hold on. It's gonna bug me because I want to get it right. What was it? Christakos. Which one was that? Here we go. Let's see. Christakos. For Your Eyes. There we go. For Your Eyes Only. Yeah, it's the same vibe for For Your Eyes Only, where it's a lot about revenge. And it kind of has the same plot points, but like Bond learning that revenge really isn't worth it, really just blinds you and it like leaves you hollow. And he learns that and teaches that to the Bond girl Olga within it. And it works. Like the dynamic between the two, how she feels about it, how he ends up feeling about it at the very end, where he could have gotten revenge against the guy who killed Vesper. And he's like, it's not worth it. That is really good. I do really like that. It does show the growth of Bond. It shows where we get to within the books, where Bond isn't a cold-blooded killer. He does not like killing in cold blood. He will kill for revenge. He will. But it's him learning that it's like it's not worth it. He has killed people for Felix's sake. He has killed people for M's sake. But it's those are the people he trusts. Those are the people he loves. Those are his like family essentially. And Vesper, while he does love her, while that was his first big love, that's not the case because he still has to reckon with the fact that she betrayed him. And that's all there. And the thing is, people get hung up with Quantum on the fact that it's a stupid villain plan or the action's terrible. Fair enough. But other Bond movies have had terrible action, and other Bond movies have had terrible villain plans. So saying that those two elements discredit the whole movie is silly to me. It ignores just other bad movies. Um, and it's just like, oh, it's not as good as the other ones. Like, okay, yeah, but it's still a solid one. I feel like out of all of the Bond movies, my number one excluded, this one feels most like Bond to me. It feels most like the classic Bonds. There's elements of those elements of Dalton Bond with the Revenge. There's elements of more with like hints of For Your Eyes. There, like it definitely has the vibes of other Bond classic Bond movies. Um, and I feel like it really is going to be one that like as time goes on, I do think that more people warm up to it. Um, and see the like themes and actual like good aspects of this movie. It's definitely one that like when I watched it, like I said in my initial review, it did feel like I was watching it the first time again, and I get why I liked it when I was a kid. When I watched it when I was younger, it was like, oh yeah, I like this. And rewatching it, oh yeah, I like this. Um, but yeah, number two is Quantum, which leaves probably a more controversial choice as my favorite. No Time to Die. Look, I'm not going to say this is the best made one. No, but it's my favorite out of Craig's because it does what the other ones tried to do with the references, with the like tying of the bow kind of thing. It does it good. Like Spectre and Skyfall both try to be like, oh, let's reference everything, let's try and do this. Like, but this did it better. This did feel like, okay, yeah, this is the most on Her Majesty's. This is a very light Doctor No remake. This ties everything together. The emotional connection between Bond and Madeline's great. The ending's great. The little bits between Q is cute. Was I slightly hoping that Q and Moneypenny were getting together? Yes. Is Q being gay cute as hell? Yes, I love that too. Um, Bond and M work together. You see the seedy side of M. Um, like you get all the things you want from a good Bond movie. And I think, like its predecessors, it just was an issue of its positioning and its timing. It like if the series had a more connected storyline from the beginning, where they knew where they were going with it, if that's how they wanted to do it, this could have worked. Or if they just bit the bullet and did a straight up adaptation remake of Doctor No, maybe people would have been fine with it more so. But the stuff that was in it and how it was done, I loved it. I was like locked in the whole time. Like it did not feel like a almost 3 hour movie at all. Um, which was surprising. I was dreading it the whole time. Like, oh god, it's gonna be 3 hours. I didn't like Spectre. That felt long. So this is gonna feel long. Not at all. Um, this really did feel like a good cap to Bond. If they really wanted to end it, like this does feel that way because I do really like the idea of, for now, the final Bond movie essentially being a light remake of the first Bond movie and arguably the best Bond movie, being Doctor No and On Her Majesty's. It being a remake, loose remake of both of those, is a great idea. And I think it worked. Like this one, I think, like, I don't know the general vibe. I think the general vibe is people are like, yeah, it's good. But I feel like it's also going to be one that people are going to look back and be like, no, this is better than what we thought it was. Because you take into context with the positives of Spectre, it's good. Like I said, like Spectre's not horrible. Spectre, like the stuff from Malice Swan, is really good. So then when you pair that with this, like that's like this is a good ending to Bond. Because Bond, realistically, yes, Bond could be one of those characters who retires. I could see that. Within the books, I could see that. Movie Bond? Probably not. No matter which version of Bond it is, I really can't see him retiring. Like maybe Lazenby Bond, but all the other Bonds, either he becomes heavily injured and is forced to retire, or he dies. That's the only way I could see movie Bond ending. And lo and behold, he dies. I do feel like Felix was mishandled, but like because you finally get their camaraderie that's been missing, um, with all the Bonds, and it's with all the other Craig movies, and then he dies, but fine. Um, and this, like I said, this one does feel like a little Dalton-y too, because like this one kind of also does a spin on a license. Was it license? Yeah, license, where Bond's getting revenge for Felix. Um, and there's a weird sense of like finality kind of stuff with it. Um, and I I don't know. I just really liked this one. Um, like like I said, like it may not be the best made one, but I do feel like it is one of the better made ones for sure. But for me, Bond movies don't need to be well made per se for them to be my favorites. My favorites could either just be they had a really good theme, really good like villain, like something about it connects with me, and that makes it my favorite. I'm not saying like, oh, Quantum of Solace and No Time to Die are the best made Bond movies, like for Craig. No. But was there something there that I connected with? Yes. That's what makes it my favorite. Favorite. Like, I feel like that's been the case with all of them. Like, the fact that I thought, like, the dichotomy I had with having You Only Live Twice and From Russia for Connery, where like I struggled with well made and enjoyed, or with more, where it's like, yes, Live and Let Die is not the best one, but that's still my favorite. Or um, with with Brosnan being my favorite is like it's a toss up being like Tomorrow and uh, 11 and Die Another Day. Like it's not the obvious choices, but those are my favorite choices. And I feel like that's something that I hope that I like within the course of this series has gotten around is that not every Bond fans can agree on everything. Like there may be the agreements, like, oh, these are always like the top ones that everyone picks, sure. But your favorite's your favorite. How you view it is how you view it. And I will get more into that once I get to all the actors and once I get to all the movies. All the movies is going to be tough. That one's going to be a long one, but hopefully you liked this journey with me so far. I do have two more big videos to do. And I hope you watch those. But uh, like always, I do hope that you tell me your rankings in the comments. Let me know if you agree with them, disagree with them, whatever. But as it stands, my Craig Bond movie ranking is Spectre at number 5, Skyfall at 4, Casino at 3, Quantum Solace at 2, and No Time to Die at number 1. Please let me know your rankings. Till then.